prep yourself for impromptu gigs, the trick is to constantly keep practicing, be observant. You see something or you watch a movie or you watch an animation, try and imagine yourself doing that and stand in front of the mirror, try to emote or deliver the same lines that you have watched or the same expressions that you have seen. In doing that, when something comes up, you can remember that, oh, I've practiced this before. Let me try to reinvent what I have practiced and what I think I'm able to deliver concerning this.
Hi, and welcome to the Everything Voiceovers podcast. I'm Tcode, an African voiceover talent from Nigeria, and this is my podcast where I take on voiceover topics from an African perspective. In this episode, I host the voiceover cast for the latest extraordinary epic 2D animation film in Nigeria, Ajaka, Lost in Rome. These actors shared some pro tips for voicing animations and their experience on this project. Sit back and enjoy this episode.
Hi guys, welcome to another episode of the Everything Voiceovers podcast, the African perspective. Yep, it's episode 31 technically, but then this is the 11th episode of the second season. I'm super duper excited. And guess what, guys? We were number one on the Jollof Radio podcast platform. It just takes 3 weeks to the platform and we're already topping the chat. But then, that's one of the news I couldn't wait to share. Now let's get into today's episode of the podcast. Of course, you know, my name is Tcode. I'm your host for the podcast, and it's a voiceover related podcast, voiceover podcast actually. Today we're going to be talking about something that I know a lot of voice talents in Africa fascinate about. I mean, globally, right? But then it's a reality right now for us here in Nigeria, because it's not just the fact that we've been talking about this. We can talk about it every time. We talk about the genres of voiceovers. We talk about animation. We talk about commercials. We talk about many genres of voiceovers, but animation has not been really explored because voiceovers and animation depends or is riding on the wings of the animation industry. So if the animation industry in Africa is booming, then the voiceover industry in the animation industry will boom. I guess that makes sense. So now that we're starting to get animations being done by Africans, Nigerians particularly, we can talk about it in a grand style and more. Is there anything like grander? Okay, so you guys, you get the gist. You know what I'm talking about. So backstory quickly before I introduce my guest with a S, because I have a couple of them. Before I introduce my guest, it was this week actually. I was in Lagos again to moderate a session in the official premiere launch of Ajaka, Lost in Rome. So Ajaka is an animation film. Should I say short film? I'll leave that to the voice actors to tell me more about Ajaka. But guys, the thrill. It was amazing to hear what these guys, the animators, did with this. And thanks to the voice actors, they did justice to the immense effort that was put together in producing this body of work. And trust me, I did my job as the moderator. I wasn't a voice actor on that particular project, but I was happy, or I am happy, to be a part of it by extension by moderating the panel session, which was about voiceovers and sound design for the animation project. And I can tell you guys, this movie is fascinating. It's real. It's really real because it's an epic movie about something that has happened. Like, it's historic. It's relatable. I can go on and on and on. And then the graphics, the animation, the 2D animation was just mind-blowing. The sound design. Okay, guys, so I'm saying a lot of things that is making you guys itch to want to watch these, right? But when it's ready for viewing publicly, I'll let you know. But for now, we just had the premiere this week, and it's still the buzz of the moment. So I thought I should bring on the cast, the voiceover cast for Ajaka, Lost in Rome. So we talk about the entire thing, the process of putting this together, the experience, and all of that. You get what I'm saying? And fortunately, I have them. Well, not exactly everybody's here right now. It's not so easy to gather everybody from different places to talk at one time. But yeah, we're going to be hearing from the voice actors behind this beautiful body of work. So without wasting more time, I got to start by introducing them one after the other. And the first person that I've got here on my list is, actually, I'm starting with a super villain. I call him super villain because he killed it and he's super. So the villain in the cartoon is someone known as the Almighty God of Thunder, Shango, based on the Yoruba mythology and history. So Shango is the bad guy, funny enough, in this cartoon, in this animation, and it was voiced by the one and only Buzz Chiedu Buzz. I feel like I needed a round of applause to do justice to that introduction, but then, well, it's just us. It's a podcast. People are probably clapping behind behind the scenes. But anyways, it's a great thing to have Buzz voice this. So, Buzz, I want to hear your voice. Can you talk to me in the voice of Shango? Hey, Buzz, are you there? Can you unmute your mic?
Just give him a minute. He just stepped off.
Okay, so while we wait for Shango, the god of thunder and lightning, I guess, who is Chiedu Onabu. Buzz is a voice actor, is a broadcaster, and a media professional, and he executed that role very, very well. I have other voice actors here, and they play different roles in the animation. So I'm presently waiting for Buzz to get back to the mic, but while I wait for him, I'm going to introduce another person. Oh, so finally we've got Buzz on the podcast. It's been a long time I've wanted Buzz to be on this podcast, and finally I have him not as a standalone episode with me and Buzz, but with the crew. So Buzz, it's nice to have you on the Everythingvoiceovers podcast. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Tcode. Nice to be here.
Okay. I'm going to get back to you. We're going to talk about how you came up with, how you were able to execute the role of Shango in the Ajaka animation. But let me move to other people that are here right now. I don't know if I should go to Samuella, if she's available.
Yeah. No problem.
All right. So I've got the one and only Mistress. He played the character. I'm trying to remember the character he played, Samuella. But she played a character that was one of the chiefs in the Yoruba kingdom, right? And she did justice. It was you would hear her voice very, very passionately. If you listen to the trailer, if you watch the trailer, you'd hear Samuella's voice, and that was an incredible performance. So Samuella, she's a voice actor, a writer, and storyteller. And her full name is Samuella Onabu. So you should figure out what that means. I just introduced Buzz, Chiedu Onabu, and now I'm introducing Samuella Onabu. So Samuella, nice to have you on the podcast. Talk to me. How are you doing?
Nice to be here. Yes, my name is Samuella, and I play Alakoro, one of the Oyomisi in animation short film Ajaka, Dust and Room. It's nice to be here. Thank you for being Tcode.
It's nice to have you here, Samuella. And you have a good voice, to be honest. Really, yeah. The combo of you and Buzz. Oh my God. All right.
Let's fire, right?
I mean, come on, it's fire. The villain, the super villain, and I don't know which you're gonna do, villain or hero, or the villains like Joker and Harley Quinn.
You have to see, that one is a different other story you are trying to play. So when that one comes back, we'll inform you. We'll probably come there again and discuss it. Nigerian Hallelujah Queen.
Oh my God, you already played the character. I mean, who is a Harley Quinn that is not funny? So the power couple, we've got them in town. All right, let me move on to the next person, and I got the man whose name starts from O. He's a voice actor, a narrator, a marketing and strategy professional, mass media professional, and he goes by the name Odiri. Okay, so Odiri, you're gonna forgive me because I remember at the premiere, I think I murdered your surname. I'm so sorry about that. So I don't want to do
Everybody murders that surname.
Oh my!
That name is easily pronounced. So don't worry, you're forgiven.
Oh, thank God. Oh yeah. Okay, so Audrey, it's nice to have you here. Do you want to let's hear how your surname should be pronounced properly now?
Okay, actually, everybody murders my complete name, the full name. Yeah, but Buzz Chiedu is the only one among all of us that has pronounced it correctly. So the correct pronunciation is Odiri Awvenagha.
Wow. Oh my.
That's the correct pronunciation. The V is silent. Yes. And the main name, the Odiri name, it goes up and then dives down.
I see. So I mean, from today, I should stop calling you Odiri and I should start calling you.
Don't worry, I can take it. If you can pronounce it properly, that's fine. But if you can't, just fine as well.
Okay, on this podcast, I'm still going to call you Odiri for fluency's sake. Well, I'll take my time to rehearse the name, and later on, when we meet, probably on Clubhouse or something, I'll start calling you Odiri.
No problem.
All right. So, what role did you play quickly?
I played one of the senile follow chieftain called Ajaka. Yes, he was how will I put it? I said follow.
Very loyal to the king, or sort of like in a very.
He's not loyal to the king. He's loyal to his his purpose, his own, his pay, his pockets, what he can get from whoever he supports. So it doesn't matter who is king, as long as he is being compensated for it.
I see. That character reminds me of this other character in Game of Thrones. I don't remember their names now, but
Little finger.
Is it that guy that is bald headed?
The bald one is, I think they call him Spider, Viserys or something like that.
Anyway, many of them were playing that card.
Lord
Varys, yeah,
Lord Varys. So your character is similar to that character, I think.
Yeah.
Or the little finger character.
You know that, yes. Lord Varys or little bit, he just knows how to play the game.
Yeah.
So that he's never found wanting, Supports whoever has the advantage is who goes for.
Okay. That sounds good. So now moving on to the next person on my list. Actually, there are about 7 casts, but unfortunately, we're only able to have 4 of them right here, right now. And I'm hoping that the others will join, especially Ajaka himself, because according to the movie, the title is Ajaka Lost in Rome. So we're still trying to find Ajaka to be back. Ajaka is maybe literally lost in Rome. Okay, so I've got Adesola Aladesawe. I'm so sorry, I'm murdering this again. Okay, so Adesola is a lawyer. She's a voice actor and storyteller, a programs manager at HBS Nigeria. Adesola, can you unmute your mic? Let me listen to that beautiful voice. She's the queen in this movie, actually.
So, hi guys. Hello, Tcode. Hi, crew member.
Nice to hear your voice. So please pardon me for the way I pronounced your surname. Can you help us get the right pronunciation?
Okay, so it's pronounced Aladesawe. So it's Adesola Aladesawe. That's the way it's pronounced. But when I pronounce it like that, it's sometimes really hard for people to grasp. So I just allow whatever pronunciations they're able to mutter. So yeah, it's good.
I'm Yoruba, but I was astonished to hear that that's how you pronounce your name. Aladesawe.
Yeah, that's it. You got it.
I did. So it's nice to have you here, Adesola. You played the
Thank
role
you.
of. Tell me, how did you feel when you heard that you were going to play the role of the wife of So the other time, sorry guys, I was talking about Harley Quinn and the Joker. You can imagine Adeshola being like the Lois Lane for Superman. So she's wife to Human Bell. Yeah. How did you feel playing the Queen?
Okay. Playing Marnie, I would say at first I almost felt overwhelmed because I felt it was a really big role because of the main character, right? So I believe that the character of the wife would somehow, or the character Ajaka would somehow rub off on Moremi. So having seen that Ajaka was the main focus and what he had to go through, I at first felt a bit overwhelmed, and the challenges and the seeming loneliness that he felt. Also, I had to be a part of that, and it took the work of the voice director and the producer of the project to be able to come through, break through, to eventually get Morimi to deliver those lines as believably as expected. So yes, I was initially overwhelmed, but yeah, thanks to our voice directors for the great job.
Wow. Thank you so much, Adeshola, for giving us that like sneak peek into what your character is like. And everybody's been talking about the voice director. So here's the shocker of the moment. The voice director for this project is also the main character in the project. So in literature, there's a word we call them, not just hero now. Protagonist. No, yeah, he's the protagonist, while Shongo is the antagonist. So the protagonist happens to be Ajaka, and the person who played Ajaka is the voice director. So unfortunately, Ajaka is still somewhere in Rome. We're still trying to bring him here to Nigeria. But while we wait for him, Adeshola really killed it, playing the role of Moremi. And I'm going to come back to Adeshola to talk about, playing very short lines in that kind of animation. The next character that I will be projecting now, unfortunately, we are unable to connect seamlessly in the podcast right now, but he played a character that is similar to that of Samuella, and also Odiri. Let me not confuse myself right now. And the character is one of the chieftains in the Yoruba kingdom, the Oyomesi. He played the role of Bashorun. So Igodan, unfortunately, I can't engage him right now because we wouldn't hear each other seamlessly. But then it's great to have Igodan on the podcast listening anyway. So guys, these are my casts right now. We also have Tade. Tade is another exceptional character. Unfortunately, Tade is not here right now, but I'm sure he's going to be joining us in a few minutes. So when he comes, I'll introduce him properly. But if my guess is correct, Tade played a role of one of the chiefs in the animation. So while we wait for Tade and Remi Olutimayin, I've not mentioned his name since I started. Remi is Ajaka himself, and Remi, obviously, you guys know Remi if you follow up my podcast. I've interviewed him twice on this podcast, so I can't wait to have Remi for the third time in the podcast, breaking the record for the most featured guest on my podcast. So finally, we have Tade here, and Tade is one of the, of course, like I said before, is one of the voice actors that played, if my guess is correct, one of the chiefs in the Ajaka animation. Tade is a voice actor, a football agent, and a realtor. So, Tade, it's nice to have you on the podcast. Congratulations as the cast in Ajaka. How are you doing, Tade?
I'm doing very fine. It's been an interesting week. First of all, good evening to everyone. Chiedu, aka Pete Dochi Jr., Samuella, Igodan, and everybody, and Adesola Aladesawe. Yeah, so it's been an interesting week. Hearing my voice for the first time in a cinema rooms. I don't know what I would call it. Yeah, so it was really exciting to hear that. And it was nice working with everybody here. So yeah.
Yeah, Tade Adekunle, was a pleasure seeing you again for the first time. I mean, we as voice actors, a lot of us, we connect not off reality, we connect virtually. Well, we were meeting for the first time at the premiere, and it was great seeing you. Yeah, and you said something. You called us Chiedu, it's Edoche Junior. I know maybe just Nigerians will be able to relate to that, but I see what you're saying. So, Buzz, let's get back to you now. The man who played Shongu, the villain, the antagonist in this animation. Buzz, I've got a question for you real quick. You played the bad guy, and the bad guy's role is, if you ask me, almost if not equally as important as the hero himself, or as the protagonist. So, what was it like for you when you heard that you'll be playing Shongu, the bad guy, and what was the experience like to try to bring that character to life in a way that, yes, we understand that he's the bad guy, but we still kind of understand him. Like, for me, as much as he's a bad guy, he's that kind of bad guy that I like. He's like the Thanos of the Marvel universe. So I hate him, but I still like him. So, Buzz, talk to me. What was that process like for you? And the feeling as well.
Okay. Once again, thanks guys for this. And thank you, Tcode, for the opportunity to, come and talk about Ajaka post premiere. Let me put it that way. So I'm Chiedu Buzz Onabu. I played the character Shongu, who is the brother to Ajaka, who this, little adventure is based on. Is actually the name Ajaka Lost in Rome. So I played the brother who seems to be a villain, because truthfully this story is full of a lot of villains. But it seems like, Shongo is the major villain right now, because
Marvel universe. So I hate him, but I still like him. So, Buzz, talk to me. What was that process like for you? And the feeling as well.
Okay. Once again, thanks guys for this. And thank you, Tcode, for the opportunity to, come and talk about Ajaka post premiere. Let me put it that way. So I'm Chiedu Buzz Onabu. I played the character Shongu, who is the brother to Ajaka, who this, little adventure is based on. is actually the name Ajaka lost in Rome. So I played the brother who seems to be a villain, because truthfully, this story is full of a lot of villains. But it seems like, Shango is the major villain right now, because also Ajaka has his slave master. And his slave master is also, if you remember, he has a slave master who is also, a villain in his own right. You get so, but generally regarding this, I think Adrianus is the name of the villain. So, but basically, regarding the, just in responding to your question, the story of Shango is pretty popular, especially in Western Nigeria to be precise, rather Western Africa, and Nigeria to be precise. And truth be told, Shango has never really been cast as a villain. Yeah. You understand? He's always the one who succeeded. Actually, the history books tell that he succeeded Ajaka. So, but based on the story, it's pretty different. It's a tussle between he and his brother. And honestly, I didn't know that he was going to be cast in that light, So I was just told that I was going to play a character. I was going to audition rather for a character, and I should get my bootstraps ready. Anytime I would receive the brief and the script and all that. So yeah, when I got that, I think a few weeks later, because of how much or how important the character was, I had to do a bit of research, and since the voice director just felt I would fit the character, I had to do a lot of would I say skill honing, or would I call it study and training? Let me put it that way, because when it comes to voice characterization, it's not as easy as it sounds. Voice acting is really not it's acting really, but it's different, because what really happens is you are portraying that character you're playing with your voice. Most times you're not even being seen. Thankfully, in this animation, the character is being seen, and at a point I have to even ask, what does this character look like? I know that there's maybe some general there's even a statue of Shango in front of the building on the island, but maybe that's not what it would look like. So I got a few pictures initially, and it really informed what I would sound like. And then finally, with the voice director doing everything on set and studio, it really did the magic. It was able to, him giving me directions, let me explore a depth for the character that I didn't even know was there, and I didn't know that I could bring out at that point in time. I was looking at something like, maybe if I go back and take some time and do some workouts, some vocal workouts, Yeah. So, but right there and then, it was able to give me the proper directions, and I listened. Being able to connect to your voice director too is also something important. I'm not saying that you have to know him or know her, but you have to listen and understand that you need to be able to channel whatever expression, whatever information they give you about the character through your voice. And mind you, you will not be doing things like this. I don't think anybody, anyway, I was present that day, I don't think any character here, anyone who played a character, did it in a very calm, quiet way. Even if it requires that, you would always gesticulate, you would move up and down like you're, always you're waving hands and trying to, get it out into the mic. So yeah, it was exciting. It was challenging, but very interesting. When it comes to voice acting, I like a challenge, and it's the kind of thing that I really work towards. And I'm really happy that just for this, pilot, it was pretty good. It was pretty good. There's more work to be done, honestly, because setting the bar, like at the premiere when you said we've set the bar, you'd have to know that setting the bar means you have to keep raising that bar. It's not just about maintaining it. You have to raise the bar. So yeah. It was it's tough, but it's always worth it. It's a challenging role, but it's always worth it. And having a good director, that you would also be able to listen to and have the ability to channel the instructions, the emotions, the expressions through your voice is key. So that was just really how I was able to do this. And here we are.
Here we are. Thank you so much, Buzz. A lot to learn from all that you said, and it's very instructive. It's very instructive for people who are interested in voice acting, animation voice acting, to take cues from the things you've said. Because like I said earlier, not many people have done this in Africa or in Nigeria, not because we are not capable actually, but because the animation industry is not really in full force, or has not been in full force. It's just picking up, and we're happy we're here for it. So interestingly, this conversation is one of the very few that you'll hear amongst voice actors who have really done animation works, and I'm glad to have this, or to be hosting this. So thank you very much, Buzz. I have a question quickly. I don't know if Samuella is able to respond at the moment, but if she can, obviously she played the role of Alakmini, one of the characters that happened to be a chief. Oh yeah, Samuella, thank you. She played the role of one of the characters that happened to be a chief, and for most chiefs, right, it's not the scene wasn't much. Just have to say a few things, but the beautiful thing is you all stood out. You all did amazingly well, and you particularly, you stood out because you said certain things that were like really important. My question to you is that two things, right? One, what does it take to prepare for a voiceover animation role like that? And secondly, what was your biggest challenge in trying to deliver your assignment, as it were?
Those are very, very good questions. So, what does it take to do that kind of character? First of all, you need to. So there's this thing, right, about one-liners and how people tend to despise them. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. So people tend to despise one-liners because they always feel so. What's the word? They always feel so little, right? But I don't remember the director who said it. I think it was Osaze or so, who said that there are no small roles, only small actors. So here's the thing, right? You always have to think about it in terms of, yes, this role is one line, but how do I make it in a way that this character feels part of a whole? Because if that one line was not necessary, trust and believe it will be scrapped. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So, but if it's important or integral to the part of a whole, then it's important to deliver it with the best possible nuance. So you need to understand that character. Sometimes it might take building a whole life. First of all, understanding like what the character plays. Like in the case of Alakpeni, she's part of the Oyomesi. So she's a high-ranking member of the Oyo Kingdom, of the Oyo Empire, right? So the idea is this woman needs to command some sort of authority, but at the same time, she needs to show that she is for the throne. Kind of like a Lord Varys type situation, but if Lord Varys goes behind the back, like the way the thing happened with the Mad King, right? And sorry, I'm lapsing into Game of Thrones metaphors. I don't want to go too deep down that rabbit hole. Point is, there's this conversation between a bunch of people and they have this secret plan and they're leaving the main person out of it, which was what happened to Ajaka. Do you understand? So they're supposed to bring seemingly reasonable reasons as to why he no longer is fit for the throne. If you listen to what Remi was talking about when he was talking about his character, he talked about how his character is a pacifist. He's a strong man, but a pacifist. And in a kingdom that needs to establish his rule, a lot of the time, pacifists are not generally embraced. It always seems like strength and vigor is what is the order of the day. So we needed to convey all of that. So the challenge, I'm not going into the second question, was that how do I pass this across in a way that I could, to the best of my ability, give, like, when you're telling someone that you are no longer a part of this thing, you need to do it in a way that there is, like, it comes with as much gravitas as you can possibly muster. I know gravitas is usually easier for men because they have that, the baritone does like 80% of the job for the people that have baritone. But at the same time, like, I also needed to carry the spirit of it and deliver it. So there were obviously like numerous takes, but to be able to nail it to perfection, you always have to, for instance, do your best job on every take that you do. So I was telling the sound director that I had a little challenge when we wanted to do when we're doing the shoots, right? So it was actually a funny story. As we were trying to give the different takes, I got a kind of direction and I was supposed to aim my voice in a certain way. And the thing that came out, if anybody that was in the studio that day, every one of us, we burst out laughing because it was so crazy and weird. Because here's the thing, I don't know if you've not seen this movie, I would encourage you to look for it. It's just sad that in Nigeria, we don't necessarily have like a database of like old movies. But if you've not seen Efusheto and Iwura, you need to see it. That was the idea for Gravitas that I was going for, because she also was part of the Oyomesi. And I'm not talking of, I know there's a more recent Efusheto. I'm talking about the one that was done in the 80s. That one is, as far as I'm concerned, is one of the best movies that has come out of Nigeria. Hands, like, it was so packed. Anyway, we're not here to review Efusheto and Iwura. We're here to talk about Alakbeni. But essentially, she was my inspiration for that, like, to convey that level of gravitas. So the story is, when you're looking at it, there are certain challenges that will always come with regards to how best to convey an idea, right? But if you have somebody in mind, the person doesn't necessarily need to be cut and paste. But if you have an idea of what you want to convey, it's always so much easier to be able to link where you are, where that person is, and then bring everything into that story. So the challenge is really marrying all those ideas and that may seem conflicting, and remembering that this thing, whatever it is, right, at the end of the day, there needs to be that focus. There needs to be that, it needs to gel. That's the word. Everything needs to gel together. And if you're not thinking about parts of a whole, you will just miss the point. And then you might end up not having any good takes. And like Remi will say, you cannot go to everybody and start explaining. So actually what I meant to do in this place, it's not really like that. Well, sorry. No, wait. It's not, I do not want to, nobody's going to listen to all of that, you know. So that, I think that's the best way I can say those things.
Thank you so much, Samuella. I mean, I there's no how I can describe what you did. I can only leave it for people to go and watch when it's available for public viewing, and then they would understand in detail the gravity of the role and how you were able to project it in that catchy manner. So you did great. I listened, I watched, and I want to salute what you did there. Thank you, Samuella.
Oh, thank you. Oh, sorry. I wanted to also say something. So here's the thing. I didn't want something that was going to sound like myself. Obviously, if you listen to it, you can hear my voice and then you can compare it. Definitely, there will always be that timbre. But I didn't want something that by the time you're hearing it, you can still say, oh, this is her. Because Alakwini is not me. She's she's a different sort of person. She's in a different part of her life. So obviously, you also need to look at how to dig deep and find something like that. So that's the other thing I wanted to say. So all your characters don't need to sound the same. If they sound the same, there are certain people that we can name that do those things a lot, right? In like acting. If you think about it, you think about many people, but I think it's a disservice to the role when all of your characters, even when they are different, they look the same, they sound, react the same. It shouldn't be.
That's a great tip there. Very genius one, and I'm gonna hold that. Tight. All right. So thank you so much, Samuella. I want to move to Adesola. Adesola, you played the role of Moremi. Moremi, according to the story and according to the entire mythology of that particular Ajaka story, Moremi happened to be Ajaka's wife. I don't want to put spoilers out there about what eventually happened to her, but when during the premiere, when I was moderating the session, I remember you mentioned how it was kind of impromptu in terms of you didn't know exactly the character you're playing until you got to the studio and you were able to pull it off. Am I correct? And if I'm not correct, I need you to correct me. But where I'm going to is this. How would you say one can prep for a voiceover role? Like, how do you come prepared? Especially in a case where it's more like a cold read or you have no idea what you're supposed to do. And this is very instructive for people who are also looking to come into animation. So, they meet you and you're prepared. What's that process like for you? And also do well to tell us a bit about your character and how you're able to put it off and pull it off. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, Tcode. And yes, you're right. It was when I got into the studio that particular day I knew the character I was going to play. And so initially, it definitely set me on edge. So I was a bit nervous because I remember sometime last year I was in a Clubhouse session, and I remember asking one of the American voice actors that how do you prep for impromptu gigs like this? And what he said actually stuck. He says the trick is to always be ready. And what did he mean by that? It means that you must always what's the word? You must always be honing your skills and always try to always practice emotions at your free time. And there was something the voice director Remi posted on his status some time ago, I think sometime last month, says when you're given a character to play there, and Samuella sort of touched on it, there is someone somewhere that you can latch onto in order to get that interpretation or characterization out. So it might not necessarily be that particular person or that face or that human relatable figure has gone through the exact same thing that your character has gone through. But for example, if it's to mourn a dead person, but in your space or in your sphere, you probably haven't seen that before, but you have probably attended a funeral of a friend whose relative died. You saw the expression, the mood. So it's like tapping into that space and the emotions and how everything heightened, and you try to connect yourself to that kind of moment and bring out the necessary emotions that is required for the particular scene or character that you're playing. So yes, I would say that to prep yourself for impromptu gigs, the trick is to constantly keep practicing, be observant, right? You see something or you watch a movie or you watch an animation, try and imagine yourself doing that and stand in front of the mirror, try to emote or deliver the same lines that you have watched or the same expressions that you have seen. In doing that, when something comes up, you can remember that, oh, I've practiced this before. I've done some takes on this before. Let me try to reinvent what I have practiced and what I think I'm able to deliver concerning this. Then for my ability to deliver the role as Moremi Ajaka's wife, I think it was a mixture of because at the end of the day, you're part of the story, or the character is part of the story. So I sort of felt everything that Ajaka was going through, his loss and the feeling of wanting to go back home, the fact that he lost the throne, and they were back. Okay, I didn't want to say that, but I didn't to give spoilers, but all that he went through and the wife standing in as a support for him. I think I basically just tapped into all that sadness and all that the negative emotions that he had been feeling, and I just basically put myself as a supportive wife who is going through, who is feeling the plight or the because definitely as a wife, when your husband comes home and he relieves the stories of his of his travails during the day, obviously he must have told Moremi everything that is going on, and she must have seen all of this. So I think all of that helped me to basically tap into the emotions that was required as a supportive wife and share in his travels and provide the necessary support that I needed to give, or the character needed to give, to be able to deliver those lines. The lines were short, but I was glad that I was able to pull it off, thanks to voice director once again and the producer. Thank you, Tcode.
You're welcome, Adesola. And it's interesting hearing how you mentally had to tap into the things that you've seen in real life to bring that character to life, and you really did well. Very short but touching. You emoted very well, and your voice, like Remi said and Boss said, is really, really on point. So, yeah, thank you for adding spice to the Ajaka movie. And while you were speaking, guess who joined? Guess the man everybody has been talking about. I'm still going to come to Tade and Odiri, but then we've got the voice director himself. He finally made his way through from Rome down to Nigeria because he's Ajaka lost in Rome. So Remi is finally back in the voice of Ajaka to Nigeria. Remi Olutimayin, it's great to have you. It's great to have you on the podcast. This is the third time we're talking on my podcast, and I feel so elated. Welcome on board.
Hi. Thanks. Are you sure this is my first time?
Your third time, I said.
Oh, third. Yes. This is true. This is true.
Yeah.
I want to apologize for coming in. But thanks for having me on. Thanks for having the crew on. And thanks, man. Thanks.
Great. For people who don't know, Remi is West Africa's first legitimate voice actor for animation, and he's a voice actor as well, a voice director, of course. Oh, did I say voice actor for animation? I mean voice director for animation, I beg your pardon. So, of course, who better to do this than Remi? And you can hear from what every other person has been saying, a testament to his ability to direct actors to play characters in their truest form. So it's a blessing to have Remi, and not just as the voice actor, a voice director for this project, but also the main character, the protagonist, the hero of our epic animation, Ajaka himself. So I can't wait to get talking with you. And so we talk about Ajaka and some other things as a voice actor, as a voice director, and all of that. But let me go quickly to Tade. So Tade is here, and like you heard earlier, Tade is one of the persons that played one of the many chiefs in the movie, or in the animation rather. And now, Tade, I came to realize that for you, okay. So here's the question I want to ask you. I know you, we've known for over a year now, thanks to Voice Acting Africa platform on Telegram and Clubhouse. And I know that Tade is many things plus being a voice actor. So the question I'm putting to you is, because I know there are people listening to this and they'll probably not see themselves doing this because they feel, oh, they're just new in voice acting, and oh, some people do this, some blah 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 blah. I know your story, to an extent, of how you rapidly evolved to being a voice actor in a very short time, and Remi can testify that you've always did well when you were put to, or where you were called to do this. So tell me how that worked for you leading to this project, and how you're also able to execute the project. For people who are quite young and new to voice acting, and they'll kind of feel like, nah, it's for some certain kind of people. We're not saying you don't need the skills or the technical knowledge. However, Tade has proven us to be, Tade has done it as well as every other person here. So Tade, from that perspective of someone who had a short rise to the voiceover industry and now doing a project like this, what should people put in mind, or what should people put off if they're going to, walk through that path? I hope you understand the question, and then I'll leave you to answer.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Okay. First of all, I think I would like to especially appreciate Mr. Remi, because I owe it to him, because every voice acting gig I've ever had to participate in came as a result of Mr. Remi saying, believe in you, I believe in what you can do. So this is the way to go about it. Do it this way, do it this way. So for those listening, it pays to have someone who can give you direction, someone who has been, and it applies to any field, someone who has been there before, who says, okay, this is the way to go. Some type of mentor, if you want to call it that. So, and I've known Mr. Remi, I believe, since 2014. And we met at a hair salon. Oh no, a barbing salon, so that doesn't sound like a wedding or pedicure. A barbing salon, and so it was there. We started talking. It was from then he said, "I think you can do voice acting." Then my perception of voice acting was just about voiceovers. You need to have the Chiedu type of voice. Do you understand? Or Jacobs, you have to sound a certain way. And then he let me know that, listen, there are those who do voiceovers, but there's voice acting in general. Do you understand? There's so many roles that you can play. You understand me? And you should be true to yourself. You should be original. So he said I had what it took to do voice acting and to be unique. You understand? To be original. Okay. So he gave me that opportunity, made me see that, listen, you can do this. So I will say, I remember my first voice acting gig when he called me in, sitting in the midst of people who had done it for many years. I was wondering what role I was going to play. Because I thought I was only going to be the one in the studio, and then I'll have an opportunity for him to show me this is how to do it and this is how to do it. But I sat with people who had done it for a very long time, and they were doing their sessions, and I was wondering what was going to come out of what I did. So when it was my turn, and he helped me, as a voice director that he is, he helped me, with the right direction of how to interpret my role. You understand? The truth of the matter is, it didn't really sound nice to me when I did it. I didn't feel that I did a good job. But when the job came out, I was amazed. You understand? Then I saw what he really meant when he told me that, listen, you can do this. Do you understand? So this is what we should do. And when it comes to directing, he's really very good at it because he paints a picture for you. You understand me? Though sometimes I don't like the type of pictures he paints. He'll tell you, I want you to scream. Imagine you, sorry, I'm about to say something. Imagine you eating rice and then you mistakenly bite a cockroach. What would be your reaction? Do you understand me? So how would you react? How would you shout? You understand? So this is how I'm going to do it. So sometimes I don't like the kind of he paints, but I know why he does what he does and what he wants to bring at it. So at the end of the day, it has to do it having somebody that believes in you and that can help you and take you on that journey to say, okay, when we get there, I'll tell you, yes, you've arrived because this was where we plan to land. Yes. So basically.
Wow. That makes a lot of sense. We really need people like Remi. Either you have mentors or people like you that can really direct you in bringing out that talent that you yourself probably aren't believing in. And speaking of believing in what you do, one of the things I've learned from what you just said is sometimes it's not exactly how you feel about your performance that determines the quality or the acceptance of that performance. You just do your job. The people who, like the voice director or the entire project team, if they say that it is good, it is good. And I'm sure you got that. Like when you saw the job, like, wow, yes, it's good. Yeah, so believe in yourself, and you have someone who can also help you believe in you, and just show you the ropes. That is something to admire. So thank you very much, Tade.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, now let's go to Odiri. Odiri, I have the license to call you Odiri and not or Odiri.
Yeah. You fumble it over.
So here comes Odiri, the man that played which of the characters again? Remind me, please.
Ajaka.
Ajaka. Yeah. Yeah, it's nice to hear how you were able to play that character and even being a part of the cast. It's impressive as well. So Audrey, I'd like you to tell us about your character, Ajaka, how you're able to deliver that character, and some of the lessons you've learned about doing voiceovers for animation. Because I think that's the first time you also be doing animation voiceover. So tell us about the experience.
Okay. So the experience was actually good, as it always is with Remi. When you are in the studio, you should not be, stuck up should always, be free, let go. There are a lot of things that can come out of that when you play around and you just sort of get it. So on the day, I think I also didn't know exactly which characters we would play. So Remi and I were playing around with different tones and voices. So, but the one he settled for, because I had sent him a recording earlier, which made him call me to the studio when I came. The one we settled for was not a typical voice that I would use, because I have a deep voice, a very masculine voice. Not as strong as Norbert's, but but I have it. So I had to actually be like a very senile old man who is very, coy and predictably unpredictable. But then again, it was just one line, but you could tell that is the kind of character that he was. So again, I think he was also like the financial advisor, because he said all our tributaries have refused to pay their taxes. So he knows about tax collection in the Oyo Kingdom. So basically, he may be the one leading it. He probably is the one collecting all that money. And now that the money is not coming in, he is upset. He has a lot to gain from that. The money is not coming into the kingdom. The king is going to be upset. So you just need to find a particular reason to kick Ajaka out as well, and to be in support of Shango, who was usurped the throne. So that the character now came out, and I had to. We did multiple takes until I got that particular tone of all our tributaries have refused to pay their taxes. So it is every time I have imagined myself talk in a very like an old squeamish man, I would not have done it like that. My mind was like, all our tributaries have refused to pay their taxes. Well, that was what I was going for, like a firm person, like somebody who has a lot of authority in the kingdom. But the voice again doesn't show someone who has authority, but it shows somebody who is slippery, if you know what I mean. So we did capture that, and it came out well. When I saw the eventual rendition and the video, I'm like, oh, really? Is that what does that mean? That's that mean? I didn't know that. So yeah, so like Shola said, you have to always be prepared. And I don't know if it happens to you or anybody here. I just catch myself talking to myself. Maybe I'm mad, but I just catch when I see a character on television, or I see opening credits where there's a text that that is what do you call it? That's like the exposition to introduce people into the movie. I just start voicing it. When I see a character that is old, I try and give my own version of that same character in different voices. So when you prepare yourself like that, it just recalls those memories, and maybe you are able to adapt to it and become a character. Sometimes the voice coach or the voice director may see you as one character, but when you get to the studio, he sees a different range and says, you know what, play this other character. And that takes a true voice director to be able to catch that and say, okay, you may be thinking you can flow this way, but I think you can flow this other way. So that's how I was able to capture the character and play and come up with that one liner, which
Wow, that's interesting. That was exactly what I was going to ask you, because I remember you mentioning during the premiere that your character's voice wasn't your usual voice, and earlier Samuella referenced such to not choosing an exact particular voice for that character. So it's something that's I know must have been very challenging. It's one thing for you to even know how to act with your normal voice, let alone now mimicking or using someone else's or another type of voice. So that's quite impressive, Odiri. And you did it well. People would think that I'm saying well to everybody because you guys are my guys. No. To be honest, I sat down in the cinema and I saw this premiere. I saw this animation 3 good times. I paid attention, and trust me, for someone who does voiceovers and voice acting, I would listen critically, and these guys did well. Now, I know that it's all. I mean, it's not just for the fact that they are good voice actors who were able to deliver this, but also because they had a very good voice director behind them that was able to help them harness what they had or what they have, the talent itself. And that brings me to the man who just came back from Rome. To the voice director whom everybody has been giving credit to the actor who played the hero, the protagonist of our movie, to the Ajaka of this movie, Mr. Remi Olutimayin. Again, West Africa's first voice director for animation. Remi, great to have you here again, and I must also commend the work you did with Ajaka. Remi, you could unmute your mic. I just want to feel the sense that you're with me, and you can talk.
No, I will. I'm here. I've been listening. I've been listening closely. Yeah.
Great. And I remember, Remi, that after the premiere and while we're leaving, you and I had a conversation, and we're just talking about how, unfortunately, for some time now, the animation industry and the voiceover industry, we've not had that synchrony, and that has led to probably good animations with not so good voice acting, or just some sort of imbalance there. That's one. And then the other side is the part where maybe the animation companies that we have here in Nigeria, I don't know, the team behind the entire project don't see the necessity for a voice director, and that has led to some not so good works as well. But good enough we have you, and we're able to rescue that situation from repeating itself. So let's talk a bit about that before we get into Ajaka itself. We've been talking about Ajaka all the time, but I want to take this opportunity to talk about the animation industry and the voiceover industry and the synergy between them. Remi, what are your thoughts on the things that I've just said, right? And what do you see the future being like between both industries?
All right. Well, first of all, thanks for the question. It is a very important question. It sheds light on a lot of dissonance, let me put it that way, between Nigerian talent and what comes out in terms of animation. So the first thing I would say is that one cannot actually hold at the very early stages of Nigerian animation. One cannot hold the animators and the animation studios responsible, because every animator in Nigeria, every animator in Nigeria in the early days was self-taught. So they learned from PDFs, they learned from videos and things like that. And the textbooks, and let me just wrap them all up as textbooks. The textbooks always were written for people who lived in countries and areas that had voice directors, that had active voice acting communities in animation. It's like you getting a cookbook from Tanzania, and they say, okay, this is what you're going to use to make ugali, and you're trying to cook ugali in Nigeria. But the ingredients that they're telling you about, you're not familiar with them. So that That was one side of it. The second side was that the voiceover industry was at least, yeah, we have this we have this we are known for talking down on ourselves and on the country and things like that. But what I'm talking about, I'm not talking down on anyone. I'm not stating what was obvious to me, which is that the focus of voiceovers in Nigeria, even at that time, was not towards voice acting. It was more towards selling messages. Yes, that's the best way I can put it. That's the best way I can put it. It was geared towards selling messages. That was how people earned. That's how people took care of themselves. That's how people built their careers. And if you were acting, right, the only time that acting came to mind was when you were on stage or in front of the camera, where you were in a physical environment that elicited the right responses from you for your performance. So that somebody can carry it into a studio, in front of a microphone and say, "Oh yeah, act. Are we not selling close up? What's going on?" And literally there's nothing in your environment to exercise the stories within you for a character. There was nothing around to put you in that place. Right? It was just you, the microphone, and the studio producer. And that was when that was the time when I understood. Yeah, it was 2006 or 2008. I'm so sorry, I can't remember the date exactly. That was when I worked on my first animation. No, it was not Area. It was for a title. It was a pilot for animation title, Nigerian animation title. It was called Coconut Island.
All right.
It was modeled after the style of Ovid video, Ovid and the Guy. That's an old, I think it was Canadian animation that was popular in Lagos in the 90s. And at that time, that was actually my first time voice acting. And it seemed like I was climbing a mountain. And my lines were short, but it seemed like I was climbing a mountain. There was so much cold reading that I'd been leaning on at that time. And cold reading for me was just about selling. It was just about messages of selling. And at the end of that project, I was like, I need a voice director. I really need a voice director. The producer is a very knowledgeable person when it comes to animation, and he did his best, but his performance outshone mine, and it's over time. It's been, I don't know how many years. I know it's been over a decade that I came to understand the need that he could articulate what he wanted from himself, but he faced the challenge articulating it to me. This had nothing to do with the ability to speak English. No. The thing is that he couldn't put himself in my shoes and articulate to me from there, within my space, to get me to get that performance going. And Femi Omoluabi, that's his name. Wherever I see that man, wherever I hear his name, just thank him. As in, literally just thank him, because if it was not for him, Area would not have happened. Area would not have happened. He was an inspiration. He was not the brains behind it, but he just showed that, yes, this could be done. Then it was after that time that I tried to remember Andrea Romano. I tried to understand her title in the credits of the Batman animated series, the Superman animated series, the Justice League animated series. The voice director, what's this one. But the interesting thing is that once I saw it, it stuck in my head, but I didn't have any reference for it. There was no reference for it. The closest that was available was a producer. But the producer is not a voice director. That's a cool fact. That's a very cool fact. And this is what is reflected in a lot of Nigerian animation. Like I mean like a lot. And it always I feel pain. Yeah. I feel pain whenever I see Nigerian animation, and the graphic art is fantastic, but the voice acting is distracting. There's nothing as painful to me as the audience, somebody in the audience saying, "So who is this person supposed to be?" You can hear the guy talking, but it's clear that person is not who. That person is not the character that I see talking. But that voice is just not doing the work of that character. It's not being faithful. There's no fidelity. There's very little fidelity. The one animator in Nigeria, I have to talk about this guy because I'm a fan of his. When the first time I saw it, I was like, this guy is mad. I like him. And that's Chiedu Osaze.
Oh my God, you just said it. Like I've always told everybody. Well, I don't wanna break your thoughts, but man, shout out to Chiedu Osaze if he's hearing this.
Chiedu
He's remarkable.
I mean, this is how I understand his work. You see, I would even say that he's more or less like the legitimate heir to Derry. Because he's telling stories or telling Nigeria right now in a way that young Nigerians will understand. You don't need to he carries out with he carries the art with him, and the voice acting supports it properly. It's not just there like a decoration. It supports it properly. You see the Chiedu Buzz animation where the guy climbed high tension wire and keeps because of sorry. I'm not going to ask the room. Does anybody remember this line? This is Justice League. Don't touch my Pringles. Don't touch my Pringles.
I remember.
Yeah, wow. As a two got to go here today. I'm like, yeah. Now, this guy is a fantastic talent, and
Fantastic.
and interestingly enough, over the last since the voiceover contest, yeah, I decided that I'm going to find a way to. I am decided. I'm going to find a way to work with it. Because I think that there's it's easy to mistake the height he has reached right now as his height. I don't think that's his final point. I honestly do not think that it's his final point. The animation industry itself, it hasn't taken its frank, honest look at itself. And when I say frank, honest look at itself, I'm not just talking about the animators. But an animation studio is much more than just much more than just the animators. It is the accounting, it's the legal. You understand? It's the operations.
Yeah.
You get it's the entrepreneurship behind it. If they can't see it, and they need to. They really need to. I'd like to take this chance to thank Ikem Isekwela, because he was the first studio head in terms of business who understood I need a voice director. He was the first one. And when he asked me about voice directing and whether or not I'd be interested in voice directing the animation that the studio was planned to produce, Tcode, I wrote this man a 2-page document. I wrote him a 2-page document. Yes, because my experience with animation studios up to that point was that they were uneducated about it. If anybody takes it as an insult, no problem. But it's not an insult. The fact is that they just did not know. They did not know. They would bring me into a session, right? And I'd realize that the way they'd communicate to me would be the way they communicate to a producer, a studio producer. And I can produce. I have been a studio producer, but I'm here as the voice director. And then they would bring in talent that they could afford. And I would then spend 2 hours out of the session teaching these people voice acting. Because I would ask a question, another question, just to get to where they were in terms of voice acting. And what I would get is people who are just ready to sell. They were not ready to exercise the stories they had within themselves. They didn't have things that if you're used to telling stories that sell, you will not have faith in stories that tell the truth as you have seen it.
Okay.
Those things will be like a mishap. They will be getting in the way of you making this product sellable.
Okay.
Yeah. So I had to coax them out of it. And we have gone pretty far. We've gone pretty far. Yeah, and I'm good for it. Yeah.
Okay, so thank you so much, Remi. I mean, you said a lot of things. The moment you started speaking, it dawned on me that, wow, we really need to have another episode where we talk about the animation and the voiceover industry. I feel like there's a lot of education that needs to be in the system so people understand, first of all, the difference between the typical voiceovers that you're selling or you're passing a message across, and then voice acting. And then we now move to animation, voice acting, and then voice directing. Like, there's a lot of education in that area. And that's why I encourage people to go for learnings or trainings in voiceover. And you said a lot of things that if one paid attention to, one must have learned a lot already. Quickly, let's end this entire episode circling back to Ajaka itself. You were the voice director for Ajaka, and just a lot of things that I could ask, but then time will not permit us because we've been here for so long. And I still want to say hi, just a final parting words from other cast here. Voice directing Ajaka, and also being the voice actor for Ajaka, and also coordinating the talent for the movie. You were wearing 2 caps, if not more. How were you able to manage those roles, those responsibilities, coordinating other people and playing your own character, and also ensuring that you are playing a character that's not just based on your version of what you think is right, because sometimes when we are the character, it's difficult to critique ourselves. But coming to that satisfaction that, oh, you nailed it. So how are you able to manage these things, manage these roles, and still execute a good job? So that's like the last question, and however possible, just give it to us as a short, like, as concise as possible.
I'll try. I'll do my very best. whenever I needed help, I would ask for it. It may sound, well, okay, fine, but you're the guy that was the organ. This crew that I brought together, I did not bring them onto a job. I brought them to help me. So, Shola to Tade to Odiri to Chiedu to Samuella to Igodan, who just joined us.
Shout out to Igodan.
I knew that what the story needed was tied to archetypes of Nigerian leadership. And I knew that, I understood that. And so because it was there, I would then see do my job as well. The character Ajaka was a real conundrum because there was the way that the producer Ayo Elegba explained the history between Shango and Ajaka. Now, I had heard something about Ajaka like a very, very long time ago. About he was the king of Oyo who got deposed by Shango. Then when Shango died, he then came back and ended up being more wicked than Shango to the people. That line that especially I think they needed a strong man, so they agreed for Shango to come in. Shango was in quotes weekend. Then when Shango left, Ajaka came back even more weekend than before. And I was like, okay, so if he was removed because he was seen as Saul, even though he was the BC, people as like he was from the line of the conqueror, his father was it, but he was seen as Saul. Like there must be something in the delivery that needs to reflect that. And when you hear him, something inside you to be like, this guy is not. This guy is full man. This guy is not wicked. This guy is not hard. This guy is like Shango. That this guy has like a peaceful man who can do great violence, but chooses not to. Doesn't even want to display or show that he can do. Showing that he can is more important to him. This is somebody that I think hates violence. And such people are the most dangerous people to fight.
All right. Okay, so Remi, thank you so much for the way you were able to answer that question. Unfortunately, there was some sort of like lag. I wasn't sure if it was from my end or from your end, so I didn't want to interject you. But then, thank you for answering the question the way you did. In other words, one of the things that I was able to learn is that the fact that we're playing the voice, the character of Ajaka himself, one of the things that helped you is that you didn't put on the cap of voice director and expect that these people are working for you or they're just doing the job. They were there to help you. So there was that teamwork. And like we say, teamwork makes the dream work. So it's been an amazing episode, to be honest. I started very hyper, but it got to a point, I had to learn. I had to learn from the guys who have just done an amazing work of art, and from Boss Chiedu to Samuella to Adesola to Tade to Odiri and even Igodan, who we really could not connect. But then, yeah, you all have been fascinating, and I have learned a lot from you all, as well as I'm sure the listeners right now. So let's just do it's not a roll call now, but our final words as we come to the end of this podcast. And I'll be starting with the enemy of the hero. I'm talking about Shango. So we've got Shango and Ajaka in the same room. We can't be here for too long, else all hell break loose. And by the way, I can't forget that scene where Ajaka and Shango were fighting. The drama, the conversation before the fight scene itself, and the entire, like, it was just, shout out to the animators, shout out to the writers. Boss, you're here.
Don't last one round. Yeah. I know that's what you're talking about, right?
I was gonna come in there and say what I was going to say, but I was
in this case, we're talking about battle right now. Say it again.
I just have to. I'm sorry. I apologize to everyone. I just have to do it. Please say it again. Say it. Say it. Hey, say
You
it.
know
Say
you
it.
wouldn't last one round.
That's what she said.
Come on.
Yeah, well, it really was it was pretty exciting on set and also here, giving our side of the story, because these things always happen, behind the scenes. Thank you very much, Tcode, for this little expose. Just say, listeners, you guys go and watch Ajaka when it comes out. Keep your ears peeled for it, and then there will be much more to come. Let's just put that in perspective also. So thanks once again. Buzz Chiedu signing out.
Hey, the bad guy. Boss the bad
Young
guy.
Pete Edochie.
I can't do that. No, I'll just embarrass myself. Oh my. So let's move on. Tade, it's good I'm hearing your voice right there. So give us your final words, and you may also want to reference or highlight the very unforgettable or memorable line that you enjoyed from the animation. So over to you now.
Okay. First of all, it was exciting. The interesting thing is we came together to work on this 2 years ago, actually. And yesterday was the first time I saw everyone since then. And that was
hold on a second, Tade. And sorry to cut you there. You said 2 years ago. Like, you mean the same Ajaka project?
Am I right, Mr. Remi? I'm right. Am I right?
I don't think so. No. Probably maybe like a year. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Like a year. More like over like a year and a half or so. Oh yeah.
Yeah, okay.
More about it. More like it.
Okay. Yeah. Well, what I'm just trying to say was, it was nice working with everyone here. Special thanks to Igodan, who took our sessions and very patient and understanding. So it's been really nice. And thanks to Clubhouse, Odiri. I met Odiri through Clubhouse, and then thanks to everybody, Samuella, Chiedu. Thanks to everybody. It was nice meeting you guys yesterday, and it's been nice working with you. And I'm sure Mr. Remi is hearing. Let me say this. It will be lovely to work with everyone again. So, Mr. Remi, I know you get what I'm trying to say. I don't have to say it.
I am aware, yeah.
Let me re-echo that. It will be lovely to work with all of you again. Okay. Thank you, Tade. Let me move on to Odiri. And Odiri, you can include your memorable lines from the animation if you so wish. Go on.
I would really love all the tributaries to pay their taxes now that Songo is king. Ajaka has been ousted. He's somewhere in Rome, fighting and fighting. He should remain fighting there. He should not come back. He should not come back at all. So yeah, I want to thank everyone. It was a blast. The memories of our recording sessions keep coming back, and like I said to Remi at the session, the cinema where we went to watch it, I said, now I'm greedy, meaning I want more. So so when you see your work out there and you are proud of it and you're proud of what everybody has done to achieve that, you would want more. It's only normal and natural that you want more of it. So that's just what it is. So thank you guys. Thank all of you. Thank you, Coach, for having us today. And we'll always be talking.
Great. Thank you, Odiri. And of course, shout out to Clubhouse. Thanks to Clubhouse as well. We all met most of us met by clubhouse, and the relationship has been strong. Now let's hear from the women in the house. Let me start with the queen, Moremi Adesola. Okay, so let's talk your final words, and if there are memorable lines that you want to, just highlight, just feel free. Go on.
Thank you, Tcode. It's been a pleasure, actually. I think the memorable thing about it all is the feeling getting out of myself and being able to play that character. That feeling is always surreal. And with everyone in the studio, it's quite memorable. So I want to say thank you for this opportunity. I never knew that animation was something I would love. I was explaining this to Ayo Elegba yesterday. Was it yesterday that we went? Oh, sorry, the day of the premiere. And just by watching the clip, I have gone to watch Blood of Zeus as recommended by Chiedu, and I'm actually looking for others to watch. So I'm really grateful that this has opened my eyes to the great world of animation that I am definitely looking to explore. So thank you. It was a privilege playing Marnie. And one more thing that this project has done, I'm now reading a lot about the character or the person Ajaka. Prior to that, let me know, I did not know that there was an Ajaka that existed. But so yes, I'm glad that this has given me the opportunity to go back into history to learn. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Yeah, thank you, Adesola. And you're right. In a project like Ajaka, it's not just a fantasy work. It's entrenched in history or inspired by history, and this is good for not just the entertainment world, but for in cultural light, in cultural context. It helps us to appreciate better our history and also know more about it. People are going to be driven to learning more about, the past, the roots, the origin, the mythology of the Yoruba culture, the race, and even Africa, as it were. It's going to reverberate. So shout out to Ayo Elegba, who is the creator of this masterpiece. And I just remembered that I have not really credited the organization or the guys behind the project. Spoof Animation are the creators of Ajaka Lost in Rome. And I think Spoof Animation was birthed by Spoof Comics. You can check them on Instagram at Spoof Animation and Spoof Comics, and you find some of their works. And I'm telling you, they've been doing amazing stuff for a very long time. And shout out to them. Now let's hear from Samuella before we go to Remi. If you get the joke, Samuella is more like the Harlequin for tonight, just tonight though. Samuella, let's get your parting words if you are available right now. And if there are any memorable lines that you want to highlight, let us hear it, and we'll say our goodbyes after I talk to Remi.
Okay, I'm here actually. Right. So, any final words? Like everybody has been saying, watch Ajaka when it comes out. Okay, so I think one thing a parting word I'll leave people is that we need to, do more animation, like watch it more, talk about it more, share it more. If you see stuff you like, share it with people. These days you watch stuff and the way you forward your funny Instagram videos and all those things, you should also share your love of imagination. The great thing about animation is you can play with it. You can do whatever it is that you want to do. So if there's anybody out there who will be thinking, I don't know if I can start, just start. As you're starting, after you fire, then you start to aim. It sounds like shitty advice, but it's really cool when it has to do with actually doing stuff. Because no matter how much you aim, is until you fire that you know where you have been aiming. You get what I mean? So just start. just start, and the more you do it, the more you hone that skill. And animation is such a wonderful thing. There's so much that is yet to be explored with it. And I'm not just saying here, I mean like worldwide, as wide as the imagination is, that's how wide animation is. It's not like movies where you can just come and everybody just acts and goes away, you know. So yeah, that's it. And on that happy note, Hallelujah Queen is signing out.
All right, thank you so much, Samuella. Quickly now to Remi Olutimayin. Remi, just your final words, and then we call it a wrap on today's episode of the podcast.
I want to take this my final words in this episode. Say thank you to the crew and to the cast for having the courage to trust me and having the fortitude to bring up their best and mastering and showing their mastery of voice acting. So thank you guys. I really appreciate you guys. I love all of you guys. Thank you guys.
We love you too, Remi. Thank you for doing an excellent job on Ajaka. We can't wait to see more episodes, or even if possible, an entire full-length movie animation on Ajaka, Lost in Rome. I had to make that really. So at this point, on this. We should chip that in. Yes. We need sponsorship for Ajaka. So you're listening to this and you know how we can, if you can sponsor, you know, people that can sponsor, you know, spread the word. Ajaka is here to stay, and with your cooperation, with your support, you know, we can do more. All right. So a shout out to Spoof Animations, shout out to Ayo Elegba, shout out to John Baz. I mean, a lot of credits to him, to the wonderful sound design behind Ajaka was just so phenomenal. And I can't wait. Hopefully one of these days I get to talk to him and we talk about sound design. Yeah, it did an incredible job. Thank you guys for being here. I mean, thank you to Remi, thank you to Buzz, thank you to Tade, thank you to Adesola, thank you to Odiri, and thank you to Samuella, and also to I'm forgetting his name now, Igodan. Thank you guys for being a part of today's episode of the podcast, and thank you to everybody that's been listening so far. So this is it for this episode. Remember, you can be a part of our community on Telegram. Just check the show notes and you'll find the link to be a part of the community for the Everything Voiceovers podcast after tea. If you enjoyed this episode, like, comment, share, tell somebody about it. And it's been a great time serving you as always. Till next time, keep voicing and keep learning to become better. I'm Tcode and I am signing out. Bye.
If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe, leave a comment, and tell someone about it. Follow the podcast on Everything Voiceovers on all social media platforms. Thanks for listening and see you on the next episode. This podcast is a Coded Voiceovers production.